I want to bring in now trial attorney and legal analyst Brian Claypool to talk more about this case. You know, the question that we have all had, Brian, since the very beginning is, how does a live round get onto a movie set? Do you think the evidence will give us a clear answer at the end of this trial?
Hey, Marnie, great to be with you. No, I don't think you're going to get an absolute answer as to where that live round came from, because Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is going to say, I have no idea how that got there. But look, at the end of the day, the prosecutors are going after the target defendant in this case. And that is, as Alex said, that's Gutierrez-Reed, Marnie. Her sole job is to safeguard that gun before it's handed over, by the way, to a guy named Dave Halls. He's the assistant producer. And then Halls then hands it over to Alec Baldwin. So there were two chains before it actually got to Baldwin. But that's her job. And look, she's going to make a couple of arguments, Marnie, to the jury. One of them, Alex talked about, the OSHA report. It was unsafe. Members of the crew walked out on the set a few days before for safety reasons. So they're going to argue that. And then another argument they're going to make, too, is they're going to dump this at the doorstep of Baldwin. You know, they're going to toss him under the bus. He's the captain of the ship. He should have made sure there was no live ammunition on the set. But look, Marnie, Baldwin, at the moment he allegedly pulls the trigger, he's an actor. It's not his job to make sure there's no live ammunition in the gun. So I think that, Gutierrez-Reed has an uphill battle in this trial.
And the fact that the prosecution is claiming she was under the influence, how problematic will that be for her defense team if, in fact, this was a flawed workplace setting, but her actions leading up to it further damaging her case?
Yeah, Marty, that's an absolute crucial fact in this case, and it could be catastrophic for Gutierrez-Reed. Why? Because if you think about it, Marty, the jury has to have some kind of reason for why a live ammunition gets in this gun. They need and if there is no alleged drug use involved, maybe she gets off in this case, because how in the world would it then get in there? But if you now have text messages regarding cocaine, you have an allegation of Gutierrez-Reed asking a friend to move the cocaine out of her room, she's charged with evidence tampering. That could very well give this jury a solid reason why it is that a live ammunition ends up in the gun. She'll counter that, Marnie, though, by the way, by saying, hey, look, the sheriff's department did a crappy job of investigating. They didn't do any kind of drug testing on me. You have no tangible evidence that I was under the influence the day of the shooting, and I wasn't. So she'll have some defenses. But look, at the end of the day, boy, that alleged drug possession is devastating.
Do you think, Brian, that she takes the stand in her own defense in this case? What's the risk she runs?
I think she absolutely has to take the stand because of what we just talked about, Marnie. She's got to get up on that stand and say, hey, look, I don't know where this live ammunition came from. I didn't put it in the gun. I was not under the influence of drugs on the day of the shooting. The set was a train wreck. There were a lot of safety issues. Alec Baldwin didn't want to join me in any kind of training to properly use that gun. There's 5 points right there that she's going to need to get up there and take the stand. If she doesn't take the stand, I think that's definitely a license for a guilty verdict.
And if you are on Alec Baldwin's legal team, his defense team, what are you hoping the outcome of this trial is?
Yeah, look, Baldwin's lawyers are watching this case closely. Why? Because if there is a guilty verdict against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, I expect Baldwin's lawyers to file a motion to throw out his case, because under the law in New Mexico, Marnie, prosecutors have to prove that Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was careless and that carelessness was a significant cause of Helena Hutchins' death. And if they're able to prove that, then Baldwin's lawyers are going to come in and say, hey, look, you've already proved your case. There's only one significant cause of her death, and you no longer can pursue this case against my client. So he's hoping for a guilty verdict. If he gets it, I really do believe then that the prosecutors are going to drop the charges against Baldwin. I think he is the least culpable in this case.
Well, it plays out like a movie, but we know it is a tragic reality. Brian Claypool, as always, thanks for your perspective and time, sir.
Thank you, Marnie.